Hi everyone. So my name is Peter Kulivada. I am in IBM, a software engineer in the Innovation Exchange. I work with some AI, Watson Assistant, which I will try to explain to you today within our lovely, okay, just a heads up, who knows the Grand Tour? Do you know Top Gear? Do you know Top Gear? Yeah, okay. Anybody got the joke? No? Conversation Street? An AI-lluring road trip for the corners of chat. What's an assistant? See, there we go. There's the Great. Okay, nothing to do with cars. So, if you're here for cars, sorry. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Watson, and I'll walk you through what are the basics, the little pieces of, all the pieces of the conversation. If you're building a chatbot or anything AI-ish like this, and then we'll try to show something fun at the end. So we'll make a simple chatbot and something that's more fun later. Cool. Okay, so conversation basics, right? So at the beginning, when you're building your chatbot, you have something called the personal assistant. Controls everything and everyone and everything, right? So what it is the container for the assistant itself, right? So you create the assistant itself, and then you can give them some skills so it can do things, right? So the assistant is the part that you can share with people. You can put it on a website. There's nice interfaces to it, so you can even share it with a link, right? So so as I said, it has skills they can use to do things. It integrates with third-party systems like Facebook Messenger or Slack, and you can share it with people through a link. So it's really nice. So it looks like this. You have an assistant. You can call him Joe, like order a pizza, just to make it consistent with everything else. You've got your skills and your integrations here. And that's what it is. So then there's skills, right? So the assistant can do things, right? It's got things that he's capable of, like playing hockey. So by definition, it's very long, and it says a dialogue skill is a container for artifacts that define the flow of a conversation that your assistant can have with your customers. It's a very long way of saying it can do things. So this is where you put your artifacts that I will show in a sec, and that is what it can do. This is where you put the logical parts. So it's like this. You have skills, so an assistant can have skills. We're getting somewhere. Now, in a skill, you need to create a dialogue flow, right? So you have nodes. And the flow of the conversation goes from top to bottom, so the direction of the conversation goes up here. It will evaluate the first one, so it says welcome, for example. That's the default one. And then you have nodes that evaluate intents, so something they want to do, right? And then you've got nodes that are inside of nodes. And that's how it goes. So intents. The intent here is to get a cookie. So these are the things that the chatbot is capable of doing. So these are kind of skills too. So in a way, it's what the conversation can be about. So if you're talking to a chatbot, you have an intent of doing something, right? So you ask the assistant to order a pizza, to make a reservation, to do something else. That's her intent. So every conversation in any language, I think, has an intent. So like the conversation is going somewhere, right? There's a reason for it. So then you have the building blocks of the chatbot conversation. They're available at the current scope, right? So as I said before, here there are different intents in a different level, right? So you order a pizza, and then you've got a different intents, say provide location, provide something else. So you could do intents that are inside of different intents. They are options available at the current scope, and they have there are really cool bits they can use in Watson itself. They're called system intents. So there are already there are system intents that you can bring in. So you don't have to teach it what you want to do, say hello, or say goodbye, or something like that. It's all built in, so you can bring it in and say, okay, I want to say goodbye, so I'll just bring it in from the content catalog, right? So these are pre-trained existing intents that do things, right? So if there's general greetings, there's locations, right? So there's a lot of intents that are already created now, so you don't have to figure out how to say, where's your nearest shop, right? Because there's 20 options that are already there that you can bring in, and it's all built in. And you can ask them for billings or jokes too. So it looks like this. There's different categories. You can choose from general, insurance, mortgage, teleconference, yada yada. Lots of different stuff. Then you've got entities. If I'm going too fast, stop me. So entities are things that are, right? So if you're talking about a conversation, the intent can have entities. So they're things that you will be talking about. So they could be, for example, favorite animal, or a multiple choice question, or gender, for example, right? Or a number. Right? So entities are bits that you talk about. So they're the subject of the conversation. So you create your intent, and it might be about an entity. Right? So you can create your entities, and then the conversation would know about them. Right? So you can have, say you're making a reservation about a reservation at a restaurant. So you have an entity called system number, which is a number that you're looking for. So you say, I would like to book a table for 2 people. That's your entity. There's nice built-in features in there, so you can have system entities that are numbers, dates, and currency. And there's location and data, like location and person that are sort of in beta, so they're semi-working now. They're being worked on because they're a little harder to figure out. Like an address is different in every country, so you can't just have a single one just yet, but it's still work in progress. Then we have context, right? So if you create a conversation, the conversation flows through the intents. They are about entities, and then these entities provide some context. So you can say, I would like to order pepperoni pizza, right? Put the pepperoni pizza in context so that Watson then knows that we're talking about pizza, we're talking about pepperoni, for example, as a type. So you can pass it along. Okay. So it looks like this here, like in your dialogue. You can have some nice, got your notes. There's order pizza, welcome. But this node would have 2 contexts that are being set. So they're really nice because then you can pass it along and just direct the conversation. It's important. So it directs the conversation, it's set for the intents, and the context variables, it's put in context variables so you can reuse them. Very nice. And they can be passed deep into the conversation. You can delete them as you go along as well. Almost there. There's something called slots. So if you're looking for say a piece of say a reservation at a restaurant, right? So there's your intent. You need 3 types of entities, or 3 pieces of information to put in a context. So you can use slots to achieve that. And this way you could say, I want to have these 3 pieces of information, and I want to have them, I need all of them, right? So you can use slots for that. And it's all nicely packed in one node. So if you see the node afterwards, it's just like a single box that handles it for you, so you don't need to recreate everything. You can use useful system entities, like I said before, the numbers or the dates or times for any of these. Now, so they look like this. You have slots. You can prompt for everything. You don't need to, but you can. And you can have multiple responses if you set them. So the slots would be saved as variables, and they will check for either entities or intents, or these could be anything. And then if they're not present, it will tell you, say you don't have a date, right? So it will say, what day would you like to come in if you're booking a restaurant? And the cool thing is, it's all in one place. So if you give it, you can give it one piece, or you can give it all three, and it will know that you just said all these things, because it recognizes the entities in the conversation. So there it is. You have then responses at the bottom. You can use the variables in the responses here. So if you're making a reservation, see, you can use the variables with with dollar signs, kind of like PHP. Very nice. And this is all saved in JSON, so everything is nicely exportable at the end of the day, so you can share it with somebody else to see what their system is like. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let's try to build something. And we'll try to build an ordered pizza box. And so we all have pizza, so we're not going to actually order it now. But let's try to do this. So it's going to consist of a single node, an order pizza. Then it will have slots for the size, address, and quantity. Right? So I will cheat. We have built just in case. So there we go. We have a skill that says order pizza, so we can add a node. We have a intent. So we should start over here. Right? So you've got your intent. So our assistant has just one intent because that's what it was built for. So you can order a pizza. Right? It understands one type of entity, which is a pizza type, and there's pepperoni, Hawaiian, or margarita. So if you go into it, you can say that it's entity values. It can have synonyms, so you can create different types of like synonyms, right? So if you're asking for pineapple pizza or bad pizza, you can get the Hawaiian one, right? Or if you like it, look it up, right? Yeah, so margarita, why not cheese or tomato and basil? It should be under the same entity. So when you ask for one of these, it will automatically recognize that it's a margarita. So then we create a dialog. So we add in the order pizza node. We can recognize various things here. So we can recognize intents, entities, or context variables. So in here, we can select intents. So they have hashtags. Say order pizza. And then it will check for these three values, right? So we need a pizza type, we need a system location, and that's it here. And then it will save it in the variables, right? So I didn't actually put it here, so let me put it here. There. So I'll change this. Okay. Orders. Type. Okay, so that should automatically save. And now, if we try it, I can go, hello, how can I help you? I can say, hi. like pizza. So it automatically recognizes the intent. It says, I will need some information, right? Because it showed error, because you didn't show it it didn't give it like some more information of everything it needed. It will not show that to the user, right? So it just knows that there's something missing. So it says, okay, I need some more information, like your location and the type, right? So you can just say, I'd like pepperoni, please. So it recognizes the pizza type pepperoni. And again, it still doesn't have everything in there, but it won't show you an error anymore because it's in the internal loop now. It says, what's the address? So I can say, Intercom Street. Dublin. So that's irrelevant, but it did recognize the system location, and it says that's all I need. It'll be 30 minutes, just to confirm you order pepperoni to Dublin. Right, so it's all nicely put together, and that's how it works. So that's easy, right? And then you can create a chatbot that does one thing in one node. It's very simple. Cool thing is, what happens if you do it in reverse? So if you watched the Google I/O last year, they did something cool where you could ask the Google Assistant to go somewhere and book your haircut reservation. So it did that, and it's still the same technology, right? So I wonder if we could do this here. So we didn't have an actual Node.js piece yet, so I'll show you a little bit of code of how it works. And actually, let's do the parts in reverse. So that's how it works. Okay. So what I have here is a couple of pieces of the puzzle. So what's in the system that I created looks slightly different to this. So this is a order a pizza. So if we want to do it in reverse, we're going to need a little bit more sophistication, right? Because it needs to know a little bit more intense, right? So let's say I want to tell the assistant to do something for me, right? So it will need to handle all the cases that when it calls a pizza place, they'll ask them for, what's the type, what's the location, what's the phone number, what's the address. They will confirm the price and ask if they want to do cash or card or anything like that, right? So in here, what we can do, if it works, that's what it works. Say, hello, Domino's Pizza, how can I help you?
Are you guys open already? I'd like to order a pizza.
Sure, we're open. What can I get you?
I'd like a small personal pepperoni, please.
It does support other pizzas. There are different pizzas.
I didn't understand. Can you repeat that, please?
Yep, so that's in there too, so if I didn't understand it, could do. Yeah, I said, what's the address?
It's number 4 St. Stephen's Green, just down the road from Intercom.
Cool. Would you like to pay with cash or card?
Cash, please.
Okay, that'll be about 30 minutes.
Hi there. I'd like to order.
So close. Never just technology. Okay, that's it then.
You know what? Can I also add a bottle of Sprite, please?
Okay, you get the idea, right? So, imagine that you could put this together with Twilio and then make a phone call and make a call something. So the possibilities are endless. And you can build it the same way. So instead of just having the one node, you have all these nodes that supports everything that I just said. And these are dynamically populated. So you can tell it what kind of pizza you want, and it will go and stick to that. So if you want a Hawaiian, it will get a Hawaiian. And then it will do everything in here. So you can populate the variables. So it's really simple to make. So that's it's easy code. Is this big enough? Is it black yet? Okay, cool. So yeah, so what it really needs here is just a couple of lines. What I used was a Watson text-to-speech, right? Because it's a little more lifelike. It still sounds like it had a cold, but it's better than the built-in Chrome one. That one is a little more robotic. You can have it here in the scripts. You can uncomment this and see how it sounds like. It's a little very robotic. So we got some API keys. So once you register the services, you get your API keys to access these services, right? So you get your assistant, your Watson Assistant API key, and the text-to-speech, right? So the assistant Node.js. Sorry. Yeah. So you use the library, right? The assistant library. You give it some API keys. Give it the URL that it's pointing to, right? So it's pointing to at the moment to the gateway in Frankfurt. There's different places that it sends the information, right? Because there are zones, so it works better in Europe if you do it somewhere in Europe. If there are zones in the States. And there's some privacy concerns if you don't want to send it over overseas, you could do that. Right? So you can use your text-to-speech. So I used this one. And it's the same, you just give it some API keys. Then there's a little bit of permissifying. So the current implementation uses callbacks, so I wanted to use permissify, which is really handy. Use your utils, put the function with the callback, and then bind it to the assistant. Then we create a regular web UI for the UI. Bit of sockets. So you add your sockets. So on every connection, so when you refresh the page, it creates the session for the assistant. So it saves the context in the assistant itself, right? So you don't need to pass it along or do anything with it. It remembers where you were, right? So you could have more than like my chatbot was only like a very one level, so it doesn't need to pass in context. But if you do, the session will hold it. So then on connection, you have a chat message. So when we speak to the microphone, Chrome catches it, puts it through the socket as a chat message, and to prove it, it's here. Everything is live. Okay, so after the assistant passes back the message, we send it back to Watson to get the text-to-speech. So we get the audio file. So we get an MP3 file. It could be OGG. It's got waves. It supports many types. We synthesize the voice, write it to the file system, and then we tell the bot that it's ready. You can read it. So on the front-end side, this is the biggest piece here. You get your audio, and then you speak it. Got a little no cache here because it would otherwise it would store the file and just repeat itself. Okay. And then the rest is just to catch the voice, which would be yeah. That's fun. Okay. So any questions?
Yeah, for the bits that it didn't understand, Do you have to manually track those if you want to add in additional responses, or is that something the Watson can track for you?
Well, the additional responses, as in like in Google Home, I know which one I'm talking about. I don't think that's in there.
Okay.
So it's I think you need to.
So like when it said, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, it wouldn't save it anywhere.
Okay, you'd have to track that yourself.
You'd have to track
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it supports these libraries here. So you've got Android, you've got Node, Python, Ruby, even Unity. So you can have games that use it. That'll be fun. Yeah, Facebook Messenger, Slack, and I'll share the slides so you can access these links. They have some really interesting topics, and then just you can find it here. And the code for this is actually on GitHub now, so you can see it and read through it and see how to use it if you like. I'll share. Okay, so that's me. I'm Peter, and find me on Twitter or GitHub.